Aloha, Hawaii. My name's John Zaire. You may remember me from such advertisements as Why to Move to St. Louis, Missouri. Well, now I'm a spokesman for the best energy alternatives, creating healthy initiatives nearby organization, or BEACHN for short. Today I'm here to talk about the alluring new technology of hydrogen fuel cells. Now you might be thinking, what the cell is a hydrogen fuel cell, John? I'll get to that in a moment. Now we all know Hawaii, of course. My personal favorite town is North Atacama-Ramis, the perfect place for summer vacation. But anyway, just because Hawaii is the 50th state doesn't mean it is behind the other 49. In fact, according to the U.S. Department of Business and Economic Development, Hawaii's economy is expected to continue positive growth for 2017 and 2018. This outlook is based on the most recent developments in the national and global economies, the performance of Hawaii's tourism industry, labor market conditions, and the growth of personal income and tax revenues. Now that's great, but we can make it a hell of a lot better with hydrogen fuel cells. Now while the initial cost may be higher, over time, hydrogen fuel cells are cheaper than many alternatives and won't release large amount of emissions like coal and oil, which are the current energy sources in Hawaii. By switching to hydrogen fuel cells instead of other renewable energy sources like solar or wind, Hawaii will be less reliant on tourism for the economy, and the economy will improve. Right now, the town of North Atacama-Ramis uses coal to produce electricity, which works like this. Coal is stored chemical potential energy. Now when that is burned, that chemical potential energy is converted into thermal energy or heat, which is used to boil water, which turns it to steam. The steam then turns a turbine attached to an electromagnet, which is mechanical energy. Now that electromagnet then rotates around a coil, which creates an electric current or electric energy. Well, sounds great, right? Wrong. Well, first off, coal is a non-renewable resource, meaning once we're out, we're out. Some experts even say that our coal supply won't last another 100 years. Now why the hell are we still using it? But wait, there's even more. Coal is burned in power plants, which release nitrogen oxides. Now these combine with volatile organic compounds and bake under the hot Hawaiian sun, creating ground-level ozone, or smog. This causes irritation of the respiratory system and can have harmful effects on lung function, especially for individuals who suffer from asthma. Now that's horrible, but it gets even worse. Burning coal also produces sulfur oxides, which cause acid rain. Acid rain leads to the disturbance of trees and animals by removing minerals and nutrients from the soil. This would affect Hawaii's beautiful plants and in turn affect their tourism. Even more so, coal-fired power plants produce mercury, which is extremely harmful to human health. It can lead to nervous system problems and brain damage. Mercury, when introduced into the ocean, is absorbed by fish and other marine life. When these fish are consumed by humans, their mercury is introduced into the human body, and according to a survey, 41.6% of adults in Hawaii eat seafood twice a week. As you can see, mercury poses a serious threat to the Hawaiian population, tourism, and the food chain. Still confused? Picture it like this. This is the town of North Atacama-Ramis. This is coal. This is North Atacama-Ramis on coal. Need I say more? So as you can see, a switch needs to be made to a form of alternative energy. So why the cell not hydrogen fuel cells? Hydrogen fuel cells produce electricity in this manner. Hydrogen is absorbed through the anode side of the cell. It then travels through the catalyst where it is split into positive hydrogen ions and electrons. The electrons travel along a wire, creating an electric current which powers a load. The electrons then travel into the second catalyst on the cathode side. On the cathode side of the cell, oxygen is absorbed. The oxygen meets up with the positive hydrogen ions and the electrons, creating H2O, or as it's more commonly known, water, and heat. The water then drains from the cell. Sounds pretty neat, right? It gets better. Hydrogen fuel cells produce almost no waste compared to coal. The only waste products from hydrogen fuel cells are water and trace amounts of nitrogen oxides and sulfur oxides. Hydrogen fuel cells are also extremely efficient, with current models operating at nearly 70% efficiency. An individual cell can produce up to 250 kilowatts of electrical energy. In addition, they are constantly getting better, and they aren't burdened by a limit like wind power, which is restricted by the Betz limit. Hydrogen fuel cells are also cost efficient. They can pay themselves back in 7.4 years, whereas wind takes 8 years and solar can take 36.5 years. What the cell? Hydrogen is also an abundant source of fuel. As you know, Hawaii is an island. Water is all around it. All you gotta do is separate hydrogen from that water using electrolysis and you've got your fuel. They also require a bit of oxygen, but that's also abundant. Hydrogen fuel cells are also silent compared to other methods of energy production. They're also easily fixed and maintained. Now this is beneficial to the Hawaiian economy, as after the initial cost of purchasing and installing them, it won't cost a whole lot to keep them running.
Now, unlike wind turbines or solar panels, hydrogen fuel cells aren't extremely large and won't ruin the rich views of Hawaii. This will allow for tourism to continue strongly. Now, you may be worried about how Hawaii's future climate will affect use of hydrogen fuel cells. Well, worry not, because water will always be abundant, meaning there will always be a source of hydrogen, and oxygen should always be abundant too.
Now, obviously, they aren't perfect. I mean, nothing is, except for me. But believe it or not, there are some drawbacks to hydrogen fuel cells. I mean, if there weren't, we'd all be using them, right?
Hydrogen is highly flammable, which means that handling and transporting it can be dangerous, but with trained professionals, the risk shouldn't be significant. Hydrogen fuel cells are also quite expensive to install, but as I previously stated, the fuel cells pay for themselves, which makes it a good investment. This could be very beneficial to Hawaii's economy. In addition, storing pure hydrogen has proved to be an issue, however methods are improving. And yes, electrolysis is an inefficient process and splitting hydrogen from water does require a lot of energy, but hydrogen fuel cells are almost perfectly clean energy. Now who the cell wouldn't want that? Hydrogen fuel cells are also a relatively new technology, meaning that they haven't been perfected yet, but that also means that there is plenty of room for innovation and improvement.
As you can clearly see, hydrogen fuel cells are far superior to any other alternative on the market. So now the question is, why the cell wouldn't you want to use them?
I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. So good.
At least we're not Chicago.